say that you don't really want it with us? Yeah, the sports show.
Yerrr.
Yerrr.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Yerrr Sports Show, episode 157. I am your host, Big Baby, a.k.a. the soul of R&B. And to my bottom left, we have the voice of Generation Pete Rosado.
What's up, everybody? What's up? Happy Saturday.
To my bottom right, we have BK Matt.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on?
And at the top right, the queen, Air Infinity herself, 25K Tay. What's going on, Queen?
Yerrr, Matt, if you don't put no fucking bass in your voice, I'm gonna hang up. So, like, put some bass in that voice. It's okay.
Not enough bass.
You're gonna be all right.
Not enough bass in your year.
No, not enough bass in none of that.
I'm straight. I'm good.
Queen said you better wake the fuck up.
Wake up, motherfucker.
I'm
Wake up.
I've been up since like 7:30. I'm up.
Let's go.
What's going on? All four of us are on. It's been a minute.
Yeah, y'all don't know when to record, period.
I mean, we do. We do. What's going on, Jacquez? What's going on? So, how's everybody's week's been? I know, Queen, you just came off a crazy, massive week or two, actually, or three.
Yo, shout outs to all of my damn colleagues, man. What an undertaking the past couple of months have been. So, what a week, what a ride, what a whirlwind. That's all I can say.
I ain't gonna hold you. I've been thinking about going back to Philly. I miss Philly. It felt good to be in
That
Philly.
Philly is so dirty.
Yeah.
Philly is so dirty. I only had a chance to eat dinner with my family one night, right? And of course, we went. The only place like that was really close because I had to stay close was like this chicken place. So I get my food. I hadn't had fried food in a while, so I was excited. And this poor guy started digging food out the damn garbage can, look at me in my eye while eating garbage pizza. So of course I had to give him my food, and then I couldn't eat anything anymore.
Well, I know you wasn't in Kensington, so
I don't know different areas in Philadelphia. All I know is downtown Philly and West Philly because of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I don't even know where West Philly starts and where the other parts. Can you move over, bitch? Like there's two lanes. You're in both of them. Like make it make sense. You know what? Now you're gonna make me switch, and I'm gonna have to curse you out.
You were in Center City.
Like,
if you're getting food at I'm trying to think of what chicken spot you're at in Center City.
Well, I was right near the convention center where the marketplace is. Like,
by Little China, where the China bus is at, I'm guessing.
Yeah, where that Aloft hotel is at. I remember.
No, there was no Aloft. No. There was no Aloft near me. I was downtown.
Yeah, he was by the China.
Philly.
Yeah,
he was by the China bus stop.
Yeah, near the convention center. It's kind of in the cut, but there's an Aloft over there.
In the cut.
Yeah.
That was all right. Whatever y'all say. All I know is Philly is a little dusty. People need to get. I don't know what the federal government is doing because
nothing. That's what the federal government is doing.
These cities, since the pandemic, these cities have been struggling.
Yeah.
There has been a disconnect between mental health services and people who need them since the pandemic, and the cities are just getting worse. Period.
Well, Philly's been like that, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm not used to frequenting places like that, but like once people eating out of goddamn garbage cans and looking you in the eyes as they're doing that, like even when I go to eat food now, I'm thinking about it. It's a good weight loss tactic, but like, come on. And it's as if he knew that I was gonna be the one to give him my food, and I just
That's
spent
why he
like
gave you the
40
look.
bucks.
That's why he gave
No,
you
he
the
was
look.
You was the
scared.
one.
Yeah, he knew. He was like, "Yeah, this bitch is a sucker. I'm gonna
Yo,
do it, and I'm gonna
yo,
get her a whole entire meal. We're gonna be eating good tonight."
this sucker is wild, bro.
Cause I ordered 6-piece hot wings, a side breast, onion rings, and fries. That was like my cheat meal,
Huh?
and all I had a chance to do was eat 2 hot wings.
Oh man,
Great.
Pete.
And happy birthday again to Peter.
Happy birthday, old
Another
man.
year, another year.
I'm
I
just
hope you
trying to. I'm just
enjoy.
trying to be an
I hope
adult
it's the
in one
best
of them.
year ever.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Listen, 37.
Ignoring the group chat and not knowing when to record. That's adulting, huh?
Well, no, I know when to record. I answered the group chat. I was like, I wasn't available Friday. You know, wasn't available Friday. I had my church engagement on Friday night.
You a deacon now?
No, I'm part of the men's group at our church.
So what do y'all sit there and talk about? Temptations? Like I really want to know. Like what goes on in like part of me, you know what? I don't want to say the wrong thing because the last time I made a comment about church,
Yo,
my whole life got
Your
flipped
life went
upside
your
down.
life went into shambles for like a good couple
So
months.
yeah, it's been a time. I'm finally crawling out into the light, and I don't need God to go sarate on my black ass. But I am really trying to understand what happens in church group. Do you guys talk about like pop culture? Like, do you pick a scripture? And like, I just really want to know. Like, I'm not trolling. I know that I have a reputation for trolling. I'm not trolling. I genuinely want to know.
Well, I can't speak for every other men's group at every other church. I can only speak about ours. Um, but
Duh.
um, you know, we we start every week going well, we meet every other week. Some of the other groups meet weekly, but we kind of talk about the messages that have been spoken about in church in the weeks in between when we last had our meetings, and
Uh-huh.
kind of like how they relate to us as men and how they relate to our lives and the way we've reflected upon them. Um, we do kind of focus on areas of scripture that have been spoken about related to those church messages. And then, of course, we kind of open to discussion and kind of talking about our lives and things that are going on. Um,
Okay.
and then just kind of like being there for each other, counseling each other, and giving advice and giving feedback and things like that. And then we kind of like give ourselves a goal to work on. That's related to things that are either happening in the church or have happened in the church. So my church kind of works in series. So, for example, the sermons kind of like are a series of sermons that are related to a topic. So, leading up to Easter, we were doing the way and kind of like talking about the way to walk the path of Jesus as a disciple and things like that, and kind of going over each separate part of that every week. Starting tomorrow, this Sunday, they're starting. I think it's like a 4 or 5 week like relationship centered sermon series. Called Crazy like Crazy Stupid Love. But so every week for the next 4 or 5 weeks, it'll be centered around that. And so we'll kind of set some goals or set some ideals to work on related to what we're doing in church as part of men's group. I know women's group meets every week. They have like high school groups and young adult groups, stuff like that. And they all kind of operate a little different. They have mixed groups as well. So the men's group is just very kind of specific. I think I'm the second youngest member of the men's group because we just got somebody who was a little younger than me. So it's always a little awkward because I've always found myself to kind of like walk to in between two like zones. Like I like when I got to my men's group, it was like, okay, a lot of these guys are older, married, established families, stuff like that. And I kind of felt like I fit in more with the young adult group, but the young adult group is primarily for people who are between 20 and 30 and things like that. So it was like I kind of felt like personally, as a person, the way I live my life, I fit more in with the young adult groups. But then age-wise, numerically, like I was kind of like in this men's group kind of thing. So it was always kind of weird. I know Shanice enjoys the women's group that she goes to. And I know for her, it was also very important that there are a lot of women of color that are part of our church, and things like that. We do have a very heavy people of color demographic at the church that we go to.
Love it. Love it. Love it. God bless you guys.
Matt, how's your week?
Sucked, but I'm good. Making it.
Why did it suck?
A lot of choices that I had to make. As far as career-wise, that's one. Not too much sleep, not enough time in the day, and a lot of clarity on a lot of situations that I was fighting with for a couple months. So.
That sounds empowering to me.
Empowering is not always a bad or great thing. It's just how it's just a reassuring thing. So sometimes reassurance is not always what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. So,
I feel that.
Just the hard part about moving forward. It's not hard, but it's.
I'm sorry, guys, if you're not talking, put yourselves on mute because I can't hear Matt.
It was Dre. I did. I unmuted him because I knew he was about to talk. But honestly, it's a.
I wasn't about to talk. I was about to mute myself.
I muted you when Pete was talking because I heard the background thing conflicting with him. But yeah, like it's a day at a time type of situation. So I mean, I'm not dead. I'll be fine. I'll figure it out.
Hell?
No, meaning like even though like I'm monotone about a lot of shit right now, but I'm not dead. I'll figure it out. I'm gonna be good.
Always. But you can't be going out sad. Life is fucking gonna life. That's one thing I learned. No matter
It's
what
not
we're
necessarily
going
sad. It's disappointing. That's it.
Let me tell you something. What I learned in my elder years of life now is that the less expectations we put on shit, the less we get disappointed when shit don't go the way we want it to go.
But what I've learned from my situation is I gotta stop looking into the possibilities of everything and everybody else, and I gotta focus more on the possibilities of me. And I gotta have more faith in myself and know what I deserve and know what I need to put up with and deal with and grow from. And
You should go to group. You should go to group with Pete.
I'm not spiritually there yet. I gotta. I'm not there yet, but Pete's my brother. I know. Huh?
No, my phone almost fell out of my hand.
Pete's my brother. I know he's gonna pray for me. He's been praying for me, so I know.
100%. 100%.
We all been praying for you. I don't know if y'all prayers are working because my life has been like kicking me in my ass. So
We've
if
been
you pray for me,
hitting you up trying to figure out what's going on with you.
remix that and put some razzle dazzle in there somewhere and ask for something different because I don't know what the hell has been going on. I am now climbing out of what I was kind of going through, and when my memoir comes out, you'll probably understand a little more of my recent um my recent goings and comings. Where I am now to try to get gas looks just like Philly, by the way.
Philly is little Brooklyn. I've been telling people that.
Um,
I'm not
don't
saying
disrespect,
it's
don't
not.
disrespect Brooklyn like that
But I
because
mean, when I left New York, I chose Philly because it felt like Brooklyn to a degree. So it wasn't hard for me to transition into Philly. Now, granted, the accent and the slang is crazy. They're just as grimy, if not worse. But there's certain parts of Philly that remind me of Brooklyn. Not Kensington, I can tell you that. Kensington is a New Jack City. It's crazy. There are zombies out there. It's crazy.
I hope this motherfucker not coming over here to ask me for no damn money. I am not it today. I'm sorry. I'm very empathetic, y'all, but like it does something to me when a man asks me for money. My brother, I'm so sorry. I don't. What's up? Yeah, tell him I'll pay for the juice. Yeah, I'll pay for it.
Got him again.
Gotcha.
Got him
Not the
again.
juice. Not the juice.
The juice. That's a
You know
perfect
what? 'Cause
segue.
That's a nice
He asked me for.
transition.
He asked me for something. He asked me for something specific and not money. So that's the difference.
Yeah,
Hold
that's
on, y'all.
definitely
Hold
that's
on.
definitely a perfect segue into the next topic. We'll go the first topic of the day. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard, which I'm sure you have because we're here at the end of the week, but former Bills and USC running back Hall of Famer Heisman Trophy winner O.J. Simpson, top 100, top 75, top 50 greatest players of all time. O.J. Simpson, he passed away from cancer this week. My thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. It it's OJ just wasn't like one of those people like one wasn't just one of the greatest football players ever. He was definitely a pop culture icon for a long time, due to a lot of stuff. But we'll get more into that side after we get into the sports side. I want to get into some of his stats and some of the things he did. So, ain't no one better to get into any stats than our own voice of a generation, Pete Rosado.
Well, Dre, and that's the interesting thing, right? When we talk about OJ Simpson, it's very hard to separate football OJ from the OJ that we kind of grew up with, right? Because OJ played before a lot of us were alive. OJ was drafted to the NFL in 1969, a number one overall pick, won the 1968 Heisman Trophy, and was a two-time Walter Camp NCAA Player of the Year winner for USC as an All-American, two-time unanimous All-American. Came to the Bills in 1969, but really didn't hit his stride until 1972. And from 1972 to 1976, he led the NFL in rushing 4 out of those 5 seasons. And during that time, he had 7,699 rushing yards, which was number one in the NFL. No other player came within 2,500 yards of his rushing totals during that time.
Now, okay?
He won the 1973
That's
MVP.
right.
Became,
Keep me in your
at the
prayer.
time, became the first NFL running
I
back
will.
who rushed for more than 2,000 yards. And he actually broke in 1973 then Jim Brown's single season rushing record. Jim Brown at that point, the rushing record had been 1,863 yards in a season, which Jim Brown did in 1963, and then OJ broke that with 2,003 yards in 1973, 10 years later. And to this day, to this very day in the NFL, he has the most rushing yards per game in a single season. The record, 143.1 rushing yards per game. But then people even say his 1975 season, 2 years after winning the MVP, he actually put up more yards, 2,243 yards, and then had at that time 23 touchdowns, was a single season record for touchdowns in a season. All in all, 6 Pro Bowls, 5-time All-Pro selection, all-decade selection of the 70s, 75th anniversary all-time team, NFL top 100 all-time team, NFL Hall of Famer, and this is a man who still has records to this day that have not yet been broken. As we said, the single season rushing yards per game. In fact, Adrian Peterson and Derrick Henry, the only ones who ever gotten close. Adrian Peterson, 131.1 yards in 2012, and Derrick Henry, 126.7 yards in 2020. Again, Simpson, 143.1.
The thing about that too, he did this when it was all a 14-game season.
Yes.
These are all 14-game seasons. So when players are now getting 2,000 having 2,000-yard seasons, they have had 2 additional games, or in this case, in this year, 3 additional games to get to 2,000 yards, or even close to 2,000 yards. The first player to ever rush for 2,000 yards. And it's amazing his feats on the field. And like you said, Peter, he didn't really get into his stride until the last, his last couple seasons in the league. And
it took him 3 years. And in today's standards, 3 years, a running back has been replaced.
Shoot. Depending on how you play, you can be replaced the year after. You can go for you run for 3,000 yards and you be on the bench.
He was drafted in 1969. But he didn't really hit his stride until 1972 when the Bills changed coaches. And so now we're talking from 1972 to 1976. So 69 to 76, you're talking 7 seasons. There are not many running backs in today's modern NFL that last 7 seasons with a single team.
This is true. This is very true.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, please understand that even though they do have 2 more games, 2,000-yard rushers are not commonplace in the NFL. There's actually only been 7 players to rush for over 2,000 yards in the NFL. And that is, O.J. Simpson, Eric Dickerson in 1984, Adrian Peterson in 2012, Jamal Lewis in 2003, Barry Sanders in 1997, Terrell Davis in 1998, and Chris Johnson in 2009. That's it. I think Derrick Henry, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just see. I don't know if they've updated this to include Derrick Henry. Oh, yep, there he goes. He was the 8th one, and that was in 2021. So there's only been 8 players in the history of the NFL since O.J. Simpson first did it to break 2,000 yards rushing in a single season.
Yeah, it is true. 2,000 yards isn't easy. And the other thing that has also been a thing is, and then I guess this is because it's O.J. Simpson and the stuff that he's done outside of football, is the fact that his records are not being
talked about.
Recognized by the NFL when people are breaking them or getting close to them.
I mean, they are recognized in a way because by all intents and purposes, he was never convicted of the crime. So they do mention, to be fair, he was maybe blackballed from events, but I've heard his stats spoken about. But what they do is they compare it to the modern era. So that's why you don't really hear about the guys who did it in the 60s and 70s as much as you will hear about the guys who did it in the 80s and 90s, unless there's someone like what's his name, Broadway Joe.
Yeah, I get that. You're right. I think who broke a record this year that got who got past OJ for something this year. Somebody had a 2,000 yard season this year, I believe.
I
Uh,
don't remember. Not
and
this season.
not this season, but somebody had a 2,000 yard season, and
The only record that I was
it,
hearing about to this year was Tyreek Hill.
yeah, somebody broke an OJ record this season, I believe, or the year before, but they didn't mention him by name. They just said, "Oh yeah, somebody said broke a record." They didn't mention which record. But come to find out, it was an OJ record. It's slipping my mind right now, but
And I just find
it'll
it
definitely
funny that
come
we're
back.
kind of dancing around it in a sense. I mean, like what Tavia said is 100% factual, and that's why I feel like this week I was kind of annoyed about the whole situation with OJ. Um, a lot of people are now recognizing who OJ is through the It Is What It Is show because he was on that show with Cameron and Mace, and a lot of people got to really see OJ his personality. And I like I said, I feel like it's our duty as a sports show, just like it was ESPN's duty as a sports channel to highlight his his sports contributions. And I don't feel like they did that. I feel like they 100% danced around it. And with the whole, oh, I have mixed feelings about it because of what happened in '94. What happened in '94 happened. It's unfortunate. My prayers are still with that family, both families. But in all reality, he did not get convicted for it. He did not get convicted for it. Everybody have their own individual feelings about it. Everybody has their own idea about what happened. Nobody knows what really happened. All we do know is
I
he
know
was
what happened. He
what
killed that lady. The hell? I mean, like, all right, I'm gonna let you finish, and then I'll say my piece.
I mean, like I said, everybody has their own individual idea, feelings, thoughts of what happened. Man didn't get convicted. I just feel like his family needs that grace because in all actuality, his kids are the same kids of the deceased of that situation.
Yeah, not all four, but two. But
Yeah,
yeah, not all four, but two. But
it's just, uh,
yeah, no, go ahead, man.
nah, go ahead, go ahead. It's just I just feel like again, it's just he wasn't convicted. I feel like a lot of people like it's like they want to focus more on that than the fact that a life is lost and a family is grieving. We do sports. Let's talk about the sports contributions. Not necessarily just us. We talk more than just sports on this show, but ESPN they kind of did. And I think they kind of did him a disservice. They didn't stick to what they were supposed to. Versus my friend. Jay, you there?
I'm a yeah. I'm gonna be real with y'all, right? The O.J. Simpson trial changed media and changed how we report media, right? I always bring up how sometimes you guys are younger than me, so you may not remember as clearly as I would at those certain times, right? When the OJ Simpson Bronco incident happened, that birthed TMZ in a way because the domino effect of that nonstop news coverage of sensationalizing a brutal murder kind of clamored how the media reports celebrities. Now, we forget and yes, we are a sports show and yes, you know, we mix the lines between pop culture and sports, right? But when you think about the OJ situation and the OJ Simpson trial and such, think about what was happening culturally at the time. And it paints a deeper picture because by the time I know of OJ, I knew him as more of a actor, more of a celebrity figure. He was everywhere. He was on the Naked Guns movies. He was in Hertz commercials. He was in orange juice commercials and stuff like that. So when the first about 92, 93, when Rodney King was, brutally assaulted by the police, there were people who felt like the justice system was unjust to people of color. So, and we have historical and current references that, prove that, people of color in the court of law are guilty even when they're innocent, right? So I feel like when the trial happened and he was acquitted of all charges and such, and it was another black lawyer who was the face of the defense, black people felt like a justice was served, meaning that it was less about OJ, who never did anything for the black community.
Yeah.
I'm not black, I'm OJ. That's what he said. You get what I'm saying? And it was the black culture who wanted to see someone, you know, get their equal day in court. He was treated like a celebrity. And he was found financially liable for that murder. Now, what I would say is that you we try to separate the artist or the athlete from their real lives, and it goes hand in hand. If I look at someone 360, I'm not only looking at the impressive stats on the field or, who they could have been. I'm looking at, this lady, Nicole Brown, she was nearly decapitated. So their family has had to mourn for 30 years. And he has had his day in court. He was not convicted, but it is controversial. Um, you can't take away his athletic ability, but I could be great at a sport and be horrible at other things.
Yeah.
There were kids who were not raised by their mother because of this situation. And I feel like while ESPN they did, because I forgot where I was when I heard that he had passed away. I was at the doctor's office, I think, and he was able to have his family by his side while he took his last breaths. But like the victims of that murder didn't have the same grace. And while I, you know, feel like he was able to live till 76, and we don't know, like Matt said, like what really happened, but it paints a bigger picture that the OJ Simpson trial changed pop culture, changed culture in a way, because I remember people, even domestic violence victims, black women, were rejoicing that he was acquitted of all charges. You get what I'm saying? So it to me, it paints a bigger picture. We'll never, like Matt said, we'll never know 100% what happened. He tried to capitalize off the murders as well, which wasn't cool. Writing that book, if I did do it, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of like that's whack to me.
100%.
Um, but he was a football great, and I am a person that I keep the same energy. Like I keep the same energy. Period. And rest in peace to Nicole Brown. And I'm a woman before I'm anything else. So that's how I have to kind of look at it. And I just hope that people were able to find grace and peace, at the end of this.
No, all very valid points. All very valid points. And OJ Simpson's in case and just him being around in general changed a lot of pop culture and how how the world saw him and how how the world just it changed a lot. It changed a lot. That was a huge case. Um, again, I was a lot younger when it was happened. What year did that case happen?
It
94.
happened in
Not,
1994. So
yeah.
the night of the Bronco chase, Patrick
Mhm.
Ewing played one of the best games of his career.
Knicks versus
You know,
Rockets.
during the NBA final, and no one he played the best game that no one saw.
Oh, you're right. Cause I didn't even know.
No, real true.
I didn't even
They
know.
interrupted games. I remember that part because I was 4, so
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
three.
understand.
That
I
I
didn't
don't
understand the
remember.
gravity of what was going on. I just realized that the Knicks game was interrupted and we're watching a truck drive. Didn't understand what the fuck was going on, and I kept leaving the room, coming back. There's still a fucking truck driving. I didn't again. I didn't understand the O.J. Simpson case until I was. When did the shit happen where he tried to burglarize the home to get his memorabilia back?
Oh, that was
That
a
was
whole
in
song.
the thousands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, what the fuck? Because again, I 4, 5 did not again wasn't into crime like criminal cases and stuff like that. I knew about the Rodney King thing because granted, a lot of black family, well, not a lot. I'm going to say my family, they explained that to me. So I had the luxury of that situation. The OJ thing, I didn't know who OJ was. I heard the name. I did watch wrestling and they brought it up a couple times, but still didn't understand it. I didn't really dive into that case and that situation until the burglary where he tried to take his memorabilia, and then they had the series. And like a lot of stuff, if it intrigues me, I'm going to research into it further. So yeah, I even because they got like videos of it on YouTube where not videos like the whole episodes of like the case. Well, like you can watch it, like you can watch it how it actually had like watch it in live form. I didn't know that they were literally it was like an episode of TV every time they were in court. They had it on TV. So that's like
Yes, during daytime TV, instead of watching like soap operas or daily news, this was people's soap opera. And I
yeah,
remember because I was like 11, I was 10 when OJ was arrested and the murders happened, and I was 11. And I remember when he was acquitted, they announced it over the loudspeakers at my school,
that's
and
crazy.
I was in junior high school. I thought that was so bizarre, me personally.
You
Crazy thing
know,
is, I remember the verdict. I remember where I was for the verdict, and I remember how everybody was so happy about it. And I'm like, I'm excuse my man, it's me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's like, what? Why is everybody so excited? I didn't get it. Didn't understand it. And then, again, I didn't understand the gravity of it until I really deep dived into that case. That was crazy. But yeah, like when I really like researched inside that case and understood it further, I had more of a understanding and lens, I guess, because of my age and at that time when I was researching it. But at 4 or 5, I didn't know what the hell was going on. All I know is y'all was interrupting Game 5 of the finals. I was feeling some type of way about it, and I didn't know. I didn't even get the results of that game until the next day because I don't even think they even went back to the game.
no, they didn't.
They did not.
So
Not
so
not 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 Vaughn using his full name.
yes. So Vaughn says, where does OJ Simpson rank among your greatest running backs?
Gotta read it. Gotta read it right. Where does Orenthal James Simpson?
I
He
am
ranks in the
reading it.
same. He
How?
ranks the same place in my place than where R. Kelly rates for me as far as artists. So
In Tavia's terms, he's a non-motherfucking factor. That's pretty much what you're saying.
See, and that's for me. It's like I have to separate the two, right? I have to separate the football. Listen, this was a man who was, in the words of James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger themselves, OJ was originally James Cameron's choice to play Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be cast as Kyle Reese, the guy that gets sent back in time, to protect the mom. OJ was James Cameron's choice to play Terminator. And then they went in another direction and they took Arnold, and history is what it is, right? OJ, to a degree, was the first football player to really become a Hollywood star. Because while Jim Brown did act, Jim Brown became known more for his political leanings and how he was as a public servant and as a person of the black community. While he did act, yes, while Bubba Smith did act in all 6 Police Academy movies and a bunch of other movies, while Carl Weathers, Mr. Apollo Creed himself, is, most people don't know that he played football. O.J. Simpson was that first major football star to go from being a Hall of Fame level football player to being a media star and a major celebrity in Hollywood. And OJ as a football player and OJ the person, 2 completely different things. I mean, this is not like other situations where it is intertwined, right? OJ the football player did not kill Nicole Brown Simpson, allegedly, right? It's OJ the person allegedly did that. What he did on the football field is different. Now, if we were sitting here talking about how OJ did drugs, OJ was on steroids, OJ was this, OJ was that. Okay, yes. Now we can talk about how does his football career get tainted by that, right? To me, I separate the two. To me, OJ is ranked in my, I would say probably just career-wise, probably top 10, top 15 all-time running backs career-wise.
He's number 8. I would say I got 7 people off the top of my head in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely still up there, career-wise. I think he gets extra style points for being the first NFL running back to ever eclipse 2,000 yards in a season. The man, as we said earlier, still does have the record for the most rushing yards in a single season per game, I should say. So he does rank up there. Now, the person, entirely different story, right? I never knew the man, never met the man outside of what's been put on television, right? We know that he was married before meeting Nicole Brown Simpson. And then, as many do in Hollywood, are entranced by the idea of the fancy looking white woman that gives them a little bit of attention, right? Because she was a waitress. She was a cocktail waitress when he met her, right? She was a cocktail waitress when he met her. He'd already been married, had 2 kids. He got married in 1967. 2 years before.
We gonna get canceled. I can't do it.
Listen, he got married in
1967. Don't throw me no alleys. I gotta relax.
Listen, he got married in 1967 to his first wife, Marguerite. Had 3 children. 2 survived. 1 drowned in the family swimming pool at 2 years old. But had 2 children from his first wife, and then met Nicole Brown Simpson as a waitress in a nightclub 10 years later, and started dating the white woman while he was married. Right? And then he marries Nicole Brown Simpson. And you know what's interesting, and Tay was talking about this, how it birthed so many things. This was really one of the first kind of sports celebrity black man dating white woman, kind of like those
in public. Yep.
Yeah, and also one of those obsessive love kind of things. Because if you read a lot of the transcripts, if you read a lot of the stories about OJ's relationship with Nicole Brown Simpson, it was, they would always have arguments. They would separate. She never wanted to leave him. She would always go back to him. He would always go back to her. He was possessive of her. She was possessive of him. It was like, it's what we kind of hear about now. When we hear about these sports stars talking about, like, if I ever see you, look at another man, if I ever see another man look at you, kind of stuff like that. And this was the first time we were really kind of hearing about this in the public eye. Back then, remember, this is the late 70s, early 80s, into the late 80s, early 90s. Like, this is a much different world, a much different time. Yeah, and then so much birth from that. I mean, we could sit here and say the Kardashians are not who they are if their father is not one of the defense attorneys for O.J. Simpson. The domestic violence hotline probably doesn't come about the way that it came about because many people may not remember this, but the domestic violence hotline and the Violence Against Women Act that was passed in Congress were direct descendants of what happened in the O.J. trial. And again, it really also called to light the racial divides because, as Tavia said, OJ was overwhelmingly loved by the white community.
Yeah, but don't you think like the Rodney King thing kind of like
right? But when he got acquitted, there was a poll done. Only 22% of African American poll respondents thought OJ was guilty, while over 70% of white respondents thought OJ was guilty. And it went to show he was so accepted by the white community as a celebrity, the way they turned on him. But again, also the black community, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody on the panel here, this was the first time a high profile case with a black defendant had gone in front of a jury and the defendant be considered not guilty.
Yes.
One of the first.
Yeah.
So,
that's why everybody celebrated.
Yeah, and that was a big thing. I don't think it was a matter of like them liking the fact that OJ was not guilty. It was the fact that, look at this, a black man with all this overwhelming evidence against him went to court in front of white people with a white judge and white jurists and all of this.
The judge was Asian. The judge was Asian.
Oh, judge was Asian. Ito. Yeah, so but was able to get out of it and not guilty. And even today, to this day, we still hold the OJ trial and what OJ was able to do as a black man and being found not guilty to a high standard because it's still, to this day, is a rarity.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, the court of public opinion convicts you before the courts do.
After him was Michael Jackson.
This is true. I just want to say one thing before we wrap this topic, because you and Tay have different opinions in terms of the person, seeing the person as the person overall 360, and then splitting the athlete from the person. This is just devil's advocate here. The thing is, sometimes it's hard in some cases, and I agree with both of you. I think sometimes it's hard in some cases to split the athlete from the person, and sometimes keep it 360 and look at the person overall. Because there are some stories that we talk about on here where we're talking about athletes and the despicable things that they have done, and at no point in time do we ever mention what they have done on the field or anything like that. And on the flip side, there are some stories where they're mentioning, they're demonizing athletes and forgetting that this person was somebody of substance. So, for those watching, I know, sometimes I know people could be on either side of the fence, but this is one of those things like with OJ, it's hard to decipher how do you look at him, and it just depends on personal opinion on the subject, I feel.
I mean, but my view, my vantage point on the OJ thing is he wasn't convicted. So if you're not convicted, there's not much I can really judge. I can have an idea. Like, again, it's funny Pete said 20%, 22%. I don't believe that number. I believe a lot more people, I want to say at least 80 to 90% of the black community feel like OJ did it. But
nowadays they do. That changed. That the 22%
100%,
right after. Yeah, the 22% was right after. Like right after he gotten convicted, they did a poll of the community, and it was like 22% African American thought he was guilty, over 70% white people. Nowadays, I think it's above 50 to 60% of black people, when asked, they believe OJ is guilty.
Any black person I ask about OJ now, days. I was just in the store getting my food, and this guy was like, "Yeah, OJ's gone. He killed that lady." Period.
Yeah.
It was his cadence and how he was acting after the case. It was
But
like
if you look at like stories about how he, like, you ask people about him, he's always been socially awkward. He's always been that way. That's
right,
why I
and
said,
then they decided to keep interviewing him about it, and then now and then he kept playing into it. Like there was that one interview that was where he played the trick on the lady. He was like, "Oh, if you keep asking me about the joke, I got something for about the thing that happened. I got something for you." And then she opened the door. He's like, like,
wasn't he gonna write a book that was like, if I had a done it?
he did.
hey,
He did. I
yo,
kind of want to read it now.
there was a
You
video
gotta read
or It Is What It Is, right?
Mhm.
It was like they was asking a question about something about, would you confess? You can't, like, something that Shaq said, something about you can't confess to your partners, right? So they asked OJ, like, yo, Juice, how you feel about that? This is the first time he actually said some shit like this. He was like, confessing is crazy. He said that, and I started dying. I was like, and I know it's wrong to laugh about that, but it's just like, all right, he's starting to open up a little bit. And he's socially awkward, but if he's comfortable with you, you can tell he has some level of hilarity to him. So I mean,
Most murderers are socially awkward.
yeah.
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 But we know a few socially
Yeah.
Why they talking about murderers like she know murders off the rip?
Yo,
Yeah.
shit, Brownsville, boy, ain't nothing but murderers out there.
Oh my god. Speaking of confessing, we're gonna move on to a topic we spoke about a couple weeks back, and now that it is getting more traction. So Shohei Ohtani's translator is now facing federal charges for stealing more than $16 million from accounts over gambling. But should Shohei be under a microscope as well? Because ain't no way. I see $60 million get stolen from me, and I don't know.
I'm gonna be so racist with this.
It's so
Can you
different.
not?
Let me tell
Can you
you
not,
something.
Matt? I'm
Yes.
sorry, Queen. Because can you not?
You
Can
know
not?
what?
I don't
Yes,
know how to.
let me tell you how. Because a lot of celebrities do not manage their own money. So if they're not managing their money, they don't know how much money is being stolen from them until it's too late.
Try not. I woke up this morning and I'm like, you know what?
Until it's too late.
You gotta have real good opinions sometimes, man. You really do. You gotta relax a lot. How do you attack this conversation, this topic about money and Shohei Ohtani
But I don't know. 16
without
million
calling
is
all
a lot.
racist? How do you not?
No,
I mean,
I'm telling you, because they don't usually always. It's like we think, we poor, so we like, you know what? If 50 cents is missing from my bank account, I'm like, okay. If
that was racial.
where's my
That
50
was
cents?
No, wasn't
Where
that?
is my 50 cents? And I said we poor. I said nothing about race, right?
Right.
But when you are
my
someone
God.
who makes a lot of money, you are not looking at your Bank of America account every 15 seconds like we are.
Damn, Shohei. Every time I go
It's
to the
true.
store, wait a minute, hold up. Is this shit clear? It clear. All right, we good.
Exactly. Every time I go
It's the real balance.
every time I go to the damn store, I'm like, how much is it down to the cent, bro? Down to the cent.
My
Shohei
mother used to do
Ohtani is
that.
not worried about. He is not worried about $500 and $600 at a time. But his interpreter took advantage of him, and he needs to go to jail. Period. Oh, he done stole my parking. You know what? I'm gonna get out.
Apparently, the interesting thing about it is it said that it's over $16 million of transfers from his account, and it says this man had to cover gambling debts. 19,000 bets between December 2021 and January 2024 that ranged in value from $10 to $160,000. Okay, he won $142 million and lost about $183 million.
So he's in the
What
red.
the hell?
He's in the
So he's in the double red.
This,
Yeah, apparently his total losses came out to about $41 million.
so what is he betting on? Again?
That's why. When you betting like that, when you gambling like that, you better know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
What is he betting on? What was he betting on?
Probably horses.
Is it the outcome of baseball games or some shit?
I don't know.
That would be now. Let me tell you something. If that was the basis, I feel like Shohei Ohtani would be under fire for that too.
Yeah,
right.
I think they said he didn't bet on baseball. That was the one thing that he didn't bet on. That he did not bet.
Why is this even a topic?
He probably bet on the Eagles like y'all did when y'all said that they was gonna win the Super Bowl this year earlier in the season.
So apparently the contact information.
You got that one.
Yeah,
you got that
one. He changed the contact information on Shohei Ohtani's bank account to his phone number and an email address connected to him. He also, and this is the part that gets me. He called the bank.
That's where the finesse is at because the alerts come to his phone.
He's going to jail.
Big jail.
Jail.
And this is what I don't understand, right? Because Matt, this is where I'm gonna get racial, right?
I'm already there.
Not racial.
What is wrong with y'all, bro?
Why y'all can't make a point without getting racial?
Put my disclaimer up. Put my disclaimer up.
Here's why.
I don't have the disclaimer up because it's not for this.
Hold on, look. Here's the thing. Not Dre, not Tavia, not myself, not Matt.
I'm feeling a way that you keep referring to me in my full name. Do we have beef?
Not Tay. Look, not Tay, not my fiance, not nobody. We can't pick up the phone and call a bank and fool the employees into authorizing a wire transfer. Okay.
They both got the same dialect, don't they? They both speak.
Not y'all saying it's the same dialect, but people have different voice cadence.
Right. You listen.
I don't know how Shohei Ohtani sound. I've never heard
into a bank. I walk into a bank. 7 people ask me for ID for me to take out $5. Okay. Like this man called on the phone the bank and convinced them that he was Shohei Ohtani so they could transfer millions of dollars. I gotta click OK on 5 alerts to move money from my own savings account to my checkings account. This man authorized the movement of millions of dollars.
We don't bank there. We don't know those type of banks.
Right. That's what I was about to say. We don't bank there.
Right.
I got a question.
And apparently
I gotta put my social security number in to call up Chase.
Right. And apparently this is where it gets even better, Matt. I'll end with this. This man went so far as to shutting out Ohtani's agent, accountant, and financial advisors from the account that he was stealing from.
That's why you need to go to jail. But my question is, so he banks in America?
Clearly
I
not.
don't know.
Clearly not, because if
I think so.
With First National
Bank? But that's not a far off question, right? So we all on the same page with that.
No, we not all on the same damn page. Y'all making it a
don't add us. Don't add us on that race train.
I'm making it. We don't understand that type of money thing.
That's what I'm saying. What is the money thing in he's from Japan, right? It's Japan. Because y'all gotta
not y'all trying to really make this racial.
I'm just asking a question because
not y'all making this racial. It's the fact that we don't understand that level of money. When you are rich, let me tell you something. When you are rich, we don't understand that reach because we're not rich. It's harder for poor people like us to, and I don't want to say, saying that I'm poor is not fair to myself either because I work very hard.
And it's not.
But
at
I'm
all.
not rich. I'm far from rich.
You're far
I
from
bet
poor.
you if I were rich, rich people could move money faster than poor people can. I've seen it myself. I've seen it myself.
Again,
What?
you seen it move fast again?
I've seen money move faster for rich people.
No, I'm just talking about rich people that have yen. It's yen, right? That's the money conversation out there. Is yen.
I don't think he was banking. He has
has
American banking.
He has
because it's you know how hard it is just to, like you said, to move money to even get into your account in general, even an
But what
account
y'all
that you
not
may have had for 30
understanding, but
years.
what y'all not understanding is
Mhm.
that we are beneath the FDIC. We are within the ranks of the FDIC. You get what I'm saying? So we will never understand even the movements of having that type of money in your accounts.
All right. But my real question is, right?
What's your real question?
All jokes aside, why is this
Oh,
like
boy.
if he's betting money, he's betting. The guy's betting. Shohei Ohtani's not betting. He's clearly getting robbed. That's what I'm gathering out of all of this shit. He's getting robbed.
He got robbed.
Unless he's confirming that I lent him the money and he already knows how to speak to these people because I don't speak English. He's
Not I
getting
don't
robbed.
speak.
He doesn't speak English. That's what this motherfucker's being paid to be there
But
for.
you know what? It all stems to whether he spoke English, whether he spoke Spanish. He got robbed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm trying to understand why is this a topic where Shohei Ohtani's being
because there are people that believe that the interpreter is being used as a fall guy.
I can see that.
There are people that believe that Ohtani is being protected and the interpreter is essentially the fall guy for this. Because if it was theft, and this is the biggest thing that I've seen about this, if it was theft, why isn't anybody on that financial team being fired?
Because what's 16,
right?
What's 160 million to when you're making close to $1 billion?
It's still 160.
It's not even 100. It's still $16 million. Like we got.
It's not 100. It's 16.
Yeah, but it's still $16 million. It's still a significant amount of money.
That's a significant amount of money.
$200 is a significant amount of money for me. So
I think if you steal $100 from me, I'm coming to see you.
It's on site. There's no nigga. If you took
that's the thing. Nobody on his financial team, none of his financial advisors, none of his accountants, nobody on his financial team has been fired, has had any repercussions.
Yeah, something's wrong with that picture.
Everybody's saying it's a theft. It's a theft. It's a theft.
So I'm trying to understand what is really what is the charge here? So he's going to jail for betting.
Well, it's federal charges now because gambling is also illegal in California. Sports gambling is not yet legal in California, so it was an illegal bookmaker. And also, then you have the money laundering. You've got theft of service. And then the guy apparently that was the bookmaker was also under federal investigation as well.
My man should have just went to Vegas and just stayed there.
It had to be U.S. accounts.
Yeah.
Well, now that he said that, yeah, that definitely has to be U.S. accounts.
Yeah,
if he's betting in California for sure. Yeah.
Disclaimer: I was just asking questions so I can know, not to be an asshole.
You jumped straight into. I'm gonna be racist. You jumped right down that rabbit hole before we even started, bro.
I had to put some level of a disclaimer out. Like, I gotta relax. Like y'all don't know that I have to relax sometimes, so I gotta put the disclaimer out. I might sound a little racist, but I like he's Japanese, right? I like Japanese people.
Yes, cool. He's Japanese, man.
I like hibachi.
Again, we're on the topic of betting. Can you tell us about this Jonte? What's his name? Jonte Porter and his possible ban from the NBA because he won't be stupid.
Fucking idiot.
Yeah, there's a Adam Silver has come out and says Jonte Porter, who plays for the Toronto Raptors, the brother of Michael Porter Jr. of the defending champion Denver
What an
Nuggets.
idiot.
The Adam Silver said that a permanent ban is on the table. But there are betting irregularities that surround him. And basically, the league launched an investigation onto him. And it's two Raptors games. It's January 26th against the LA Clippers, and then on March 20th against the Sacramento Kings. So apparently, what happened was there was a massive increase. So for any of you who've done any sports betting, y'all know what prop bets are. So when you're betting specifically to any of our viewers, when you're betting specifically on like, how many rebounds is this person going to get in this game? How many points? How many this? You're not just betting on wins and losses or over under, right? It's, I think Jokic will get over 10 rebounds, under 5 assists, whatever, right? So apparently for both of these games, the interest in prop bets for Jonte Porter was through the roof. And then it just so happened that all of those prop bets ended up hitting or winning after he left the game. So, for example, in January 26th, Raptors played the Clippers, and Jonte Porter played just 4 minutes in that game and then came out of the game due to an eye injury that he had actually sustained a couple of days earlier, but came out after 4 minutes. He finished with no points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and did not shoot a three-pointer, right? Well, guess what? There was massive betting on the unders for those categories. So under X, I think it was like under X amount of points, whatever. He scored 0, so under whatever amount of rebounds, had to be less than 3 because he won that. The 1 assist was under whatever. And they were the biggest money winners of all NBA prop bets that day through DraftKings Sportsbook. And then again, March 20th, same thing. He played just 3 minutes in that game before he got taken out due to an illness. He had no points, 2 rebounds, and missed his only shot. And it allowed, again, all of the unders in all of those categories to hit. And one again, they were the top money makers for NBA bettors that night. And according to a report by ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, there were multiple betting accounts that tried to place large amount bets, upwards of 10 and 20,000, on Jonte Porter under bets for the January 26th game. Now, this is a guy who averages 4.4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, averages maybe 14 minutes a game. Unless you know the guy or you're some NBA savant whiz, I don't know anybody that's dropping $10,000 on a prop bet for a guy who barely plays 14 minutes a game. Unless you know something. So the investigation is still going on. This is his first season with the Raptors. He's on a 2-way deal with the Raptors. And again, he's the brother of Denver Nuggets forward Michael Porter Jr. And as I said, Adam Silver has said that if the gambling allegations are true, there is a serious risk of Jonte Porter being permanently banned from the league.
Yeah, get him out of there. Yeah, get him out of there. First of all, get him out of there. He's selfish because he didn't tell none of us about the bet. Because I for sure would have put some money on Jonte Davis. I'm Jonte Porter not doing anything. Now, for him, and also for him, his numbers actually are not too far off from the stuff that they were betting. Like his numbers are not too far off from what they were betting. He's not the best player. He's actually not really good at all. And so them betting a lot of under, it makes sense. But at the same time, them telling us how he did it, like I read an article that said he would purposely, like most games, he would just go in the game and purposely not take any type of shots or purposely do things to get the bet off, and then boom, he'll sit down for the rest of the game.
I had a feeling that sports betting and the amount of sports betting that happens in the league now was going to warrant this type of stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like that was my biggest fear when I saw how DraftKings and different companies such as those were getting more prominently featured when it came to like over unders and like I know nothing about it, right? And it's not DraftKings' fault, you know what I'm saying? But it is obviously there's a gambling issue somewhere, and this is, you know, the one of the possibly worst things that could happen as an athlete, you know, when you are gambling. You get what I'm saying? I don't feel like players should be gambling at all on their sport.
Yeah, I think it's illegal in every sport.
Yeah.
I'm not giving away money.
But you know what the interesting thing is, Tay, to what you're saying here, one of the biggest reports that's been coming out, especially the NBA this year, is that referees and players, the type of heckling that they're getting at games has become a lot more vicious and a lot more pointed towards the betting, because a lot of these arenas now, they have areas that you can go into an area of the arena and go place bets on the game that's happening in that arena. And then you're over here talking about, for example, you know, let's say you see Giannis having a great game, and you're like, yo, I'm gonna go bet the over 35 points because he's got like 20 points at halftime, you know, and then you make this bet, you drop $500,000-$700,000 on this bet, and then they're yelling at the coaches, cursing the coaches out, wishing death on the coaches and their families because the coaches are taking these players out, and Giannis has got 34 points, and there's 5 minutes left in the game, and the Bucks are up by 45 points. So the coach is saying, I'm taking my star out, and these guys are yelling and screaming and wanting to kill people because they're like, but you're going to sink my bet. I got over 35 points. You're pulling them out with 34. You know, this has been a big thing in the NBA this year where everybody, like, that's the kind of heckling that referees, coaches, and players have been experiencing.
I mean, yeah, y'all both hit it on the head. The sports betting thing is insane, and the fact that people are getting threatened at games, and then the fact that players, I'm sure there's more players than him that's doing it. Let's be for real. I'm sure there's more players than him that's doing it. He just got caught. He's the one that got caught because, like, come on, let's be for real, bro. We know you're not that good. And I'm saying that in the sense of stat wise, anybody who makes it to the NBA has to be good.
But also, it's making it hot, Dre. Like,
yeah,
you're the 11th guy on the bench. You don't play that regularly, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, people are out here dropping $10,000, $20,000 on you to make this bet. Like, where's that kind of insight coming from? I don't know nobody that's a bench player outside of being the number 1 or number 2 player on a team's bench that I'm betting on specifically because I play sports bets, you know this, Dre. I play sports bets. I try to be very specific. I'm not sitting here like, yo, Jonte Porter is going to have less than 4 points today. I'm putting $10,000 on Jonte Porter.
I didn't even know that man was in the league.
I don't pay
attention. I didn't know that man was. God forgive me. But you know, I thought he was going to be flying under the radar because he was like, as long as he plays within the frame that he's used to playing, with the stats that are used to, you know, measure his productivity on the court, that it'd be harder to catch. And, you know, joke's on you, that made it more obvious.
Aw.
Okay. Right. Aw. Stupidity.
Not all.
Like, you know, like if I'm a boxer and I agree to take a dive, you know, okay, yeah, I get the idea of, I'm gonna put my peoples on. I'm gonna let them know, right? Don't bet for me, bet against me. But then I'm also going to tell you, be smart about it. Yo, don't go bet $10,000 for me to lose when you know
Right,
I'm
don't bet your life savings
I'm
when
an
you know.
undefeated boxer.
Right,
I'm an
come on,
undefeated
fam.
boxer.
Like,
And you're walking into the arena, yo, 20 grand on Rosado to take to lose tonight. You seem really confident on this bet, considering this man is undefeated. What are you talking
you
about?
must know. You must know something. Like you
Right.
must know something.
That raises suspicions.
People are greedy. That's all. People are greedy. Think about it. Like they could have kept this thing going for the entire year, put little itty bitty bets in most of the year. They would have made their bread. Somebody want to be greedy and be like, you know what? Yeah. Let's put
How much you want to bet? They didn't bet on
10 grand
anybody
on
else.
this.
How much you want to bet? Bet on
100%.
anybody else.
100%. They didn't bet
Like,
on
go
anybody
there,
else.
place 5 bets, and then yo, put $1,000 on Jonte Porter. I'm feeling lucky tonight.
He's
Yeah,
saying his name, and I keep forgetting that.
And that, exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
But yeah, he need to be banned. That's pretty much it.
I feel bad for Michael Porter Jr. because you know he gonna get some smoke for this.
No, I feel bad for Drake. That's what I feel bad for.
Who?
For Drake. I feel bad for Drake. He taking L's. Toronto's taking L's. It's just nothing but L's.
No, I don't think he's taking L's. Honestly, I think at the end of the day, when it comes to Drake, right, it is very corny how these rap men are moving. Like, I don't know how they're moving, but they're not moving nice. It takes the Avengers to kind of take down one person. I think that's so corny. I also don't think that me personally, and I've always said this, I have not always been the biggest fan of Kendrick Lamar. I feel like he's overrated. Bad. If I had to go between Cole and Kendrick, I'm going with Cole every time. I don't like I appreciate Kendrick's music more now after the hype has died down. But like all this sneak dissing and stuff like that and all this stuff is so, even though beef is one of the parts of hip hop that's one of the foundations. But given the current climate of it, you know what I'm saying? Like my cousin lost his life over beef. Yeah. Stupidity. You get what I'm saying? In this same industry. So I feel like you can't go at somebody's jugular anymore at all and be okay. Like I feel like we don't live in that world anymore where it's just beef.
I'm gonna hold you. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed like that though. Like I play that every day now. I thought
that Kendrick was corny, and I really thought that Kendrick was corny for dissing them like that. This is the second time that Kendrick has come after Drake in public. You get what I'm saying? And then if somebody's giving,
Drake takes shots at him. That's why.
I don't think they. You know, the thing is, I don't think they take shots at him.
I'm gonna send you some songs.
If Cole is saying it's only 3 of us at the top, right? Kendrick Lamar may be more of a regarded artist as Drake, more than Drake, but he's not more successful commercially than Drake.
Nobody's more successful.
Nah, nobody is. Nobody is right now.
It's like, I'm just saying, Drake almost decimated Meek Mill's whole career.
Not almost, he did.
No, not almost.
Definitely did. Meek has not been the same since that came out.
I mean, Meek got his own stuff going on that we're not gonna get into.
He out here trying to tell people that he's not gay, which is crazy. I don't understand it.
But even so, like, why are people so pressed about his sexuality anyway?
That's because he let Nicki go.
Because you know how hip hop is, and hip hop and rap, everybody's obsessed with sexuality of everybody. God forbid,
because Diddy did it.
No brother love.
No, but legit though, even like say why somebody gotta prove to y'all that they not gay.
I don't think he needs
black hip hop community, because the black hip hop community, the men of the black hip hop community who are not vulnerable enough to talk about their feelings and vulnerable enough to accept sexuality will never accept a black gay hip hop star.
Wait.
Because to be gangster, you can't be gay.
I mean, some of those guys who walk around, I'm gonna be 100% with you in this industry. They be the ones that be like, "Oh, I'm tough," and I don't feel like masculinity and sexuality go hand in hand.
They
Like
don't.
just because
I
you're
agree with
gay,
you, but
just because you're gay,
buying
you're not
public,
feminine.
but to the buying demographic, to the demographic that they're trying to market to, and the demographic they're trying to sell
They're
to,
trying to market to rich white kids. That's where they get their money.
And Diddy did it for sure. So
Diddy did it. Stop it. Stop
for
it.
sure. But
My biggest problem with Diddy was not the whole homosexuality rumors. It's the fact that it begs a bigger thing that some men with daughters violate other men's daughters and feel like because they have daughters that it won't happen to their daughters.
Telling people take that.
That's my problem. That's my problem. And all them people coming at Drake and this and the third. And what I don't appreciate about Drake is that he went hard at Meg The Stallion, but he not going hard at Kendrick Lamar. Like that's my beef.
That's crazy, and that was
problem.
one of the things. That's crazy. You go hard at coming at a woman for another man.
Not crazy.
Like he went crazy at Meg for another man, for Tory Lanez, who did
Canadian brother
who did that?
Who
did
shot
that,
that girl?
Who
shot that girl?
Oh, did y'all see that?
But Meg got him though. She was like, they talk about BBLs and walk around with the same scars. She got him.
No, but did y'all see the Tubi though?
No, I didn't watch the Tubi yet.
I don't watch anything. I've never seen anything on Tubi besides watching on TikTok.
You got to, yo. You got
to. Nah.
Tubi is it, yo. It is it. I'm trying to tell y'all. Pete, hop on Tubi, bro.
This lady is digging through the. You know, why is everybody praying on my damn kindness? This lady digging through my garbage can now.
Oh, man. Get him back into sports. Kentucky.
It's hard out here.
It is. Calipari, Coach Calipari, is now gone from Kentucky, and the lore of Kentucky, the lore of Duke, the lore of a lot of these bigger programs are now gone because of the names of their coaches. Do you think it's going to be any easier or any harder for teams like Kentucky, not Duke, because Duke still gets everybody, but like a Kentucky to continue to get players into that system, that program?
No, I don't think so, me personally. I think what changed this whole dynamic of college sports is the NIL program. I feel like that has been at the core of why smaller name schools are attracting bigger players, bigger high school incoming college players. I also think that the reputation of Kentucky, you may have a 1 or 2 dull year, but their long-standing reputation is going to supersede any lull.
I mean, this is a man who of all the schools, he left for Arkansas, which is interesting. Left for Arkansas, which is in the SEC, so he's going to be playing his old team in Kentucky. He was at Kentucky for 15 years, got there in 2009. And you know what's interesting? When he gets there in 2009, y'all remember who he brought in with him immediately?
John Wall,
DeMarcus Cousins, Daniel Orton, Eric Bledsoe. That was his headline recruiting class. And that was the thing. I mean, this was under Kentucky. They won one national championship in 2012. And I know, they've really just kind of had all these one and done type players. I mean, you look at, he has, like I said, the John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins teams, Eric Bledsoe, and then he has Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Anthony Davis, Marcus Teague, Terrence Jones. Then you end up with Nerlens Noel, Willie Cauley-Stein, Julius Randle, you had a couple of other people who were there as well. And you lose a lot of these players. Then you end up with Karl Anthony Towns.
No.
So they were doing a lot of these things where it's like these one and done players, they were doing very well. And then it was after that 2015 season where things kind of went downhill. That was the year they tied the NCAA record for most wins in a season, went to the Final Four and lost in the Final Four. But I think, we spoke about this on the Dog Days of Baseball podcast as well with the Yankees, right? That Yankee fans became so perverted with this idea of success for the Yankees means World Series, means championship. And I think to Kentucky, under Calipari, their fan base became to believe it's national championship, Final Four, bust. If we don't do that, it's not a good season. And the last 2 or 3 seasons, they've kind of lost in the round of 16 or lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and it hasn't been the same. I mean, the man was 410 and 123 in his 15 seasons at Kentucky, and what took him to 4 Final Fours and a national championship. The best Kentucky coach before Calipari was Rick Pitino, who has said to this day his biggest regret was leaving to coach the Boston Celtics and leaving Kentucky. I don't know if it's going to be the same, and I feel like Mark Pope, the guy that they've hired, former Kentucky player under Pitino, I feel for him because I feel like he's going to have very, very, very big shoes to fill, and that Kentucky fan base is going to have massive expectations on him. And this is just not the Calipari era anymore. I mean, it's the era of the one and done, and the way that Calipari did it in that 4 or 5 year period. It isn't it anymore.
Matt. All right. My thoughts on it is more or less. I think Tay hit it on the nose. NIL is a thing, and the fact that the NIL deals are still are running wild inside college is pretty much whatever team that can offer the most money. And the teams right now that can offer the most money are the teams that have been in the spotlight for most of the time. The Kentuckys, the UNCs, the Dukes, the UConns, the USCs. Those schools are the ones that's going to get everybody because they're the ones that are being financially backed the most by these NIL deals. So, granted, Calipari, set a culture there, but as you said, a lot of his players were one and done. Almost all of those players that you mentioned, outside of a few, were one and done. And I feel like that's not where the college game is going anymore because of NIL. I feel like a lot more players will decide to stay because of the money. But I don't know. We'll definitely have to see because these teams that have been in the spotlight for so long, they're still losing players, but now they're losing players to the transfer portal and not the NBA. So, but I can't hear you. You muted yourself.
Yeah, you look at a lot of these players that played for these teams that never made it to the NBA, right? Alex Porthos. Alex Porthos he was one of the better players during that Calipari era in Kentucky. Never went to the NBA, played 4 seasons at Kentucky. You got guys like Archie Goodwin, who was supposed to be one of the better college players on that Kentucky team. Never went to the NBA. The Harrison brothers never went to the NBA. So it's very interesting when you look at a lot of it, these players that transfer portals, McDonald All-Americans, number 1 guys, but never really make it to the NBA.
Yeah. Okay. Queen. Are they either?
What?
Do you have any tea for us today?
I thought I was dropping little bits of tea throughout the whole episode, but
Oh,
I
you
wanna know.
was dropping tea for sure.
I want to know before we get into it why they
Mhm.
gave Allen Iverson such a small statue in front of Philadelphia. First of all, I guess that is because Matt always wants everybody to get a statue in front of their damn franchise team, even though they didn't bring him a championship. I guess if he would have brought them a championship, it wouldn't have been life size.
Bruh, his statue
He could
is
fit
the
that in his
size
living room.
that's the size of his MVP trophy. The statue is the size of his MVP
But
trophy.
that's why I say, like, not everybody gets statues in front of their damn former, like, franchise. Like, no, I would have rather you not do it than do that.
Yeah, AI didn't deserve
I'd have
that.
given him a statue.
Yeah, I didn't deserve that. Y'all
I mean, when you
disrespectful.
think about Philly, all I think about is AI. I mean, yeah, you could think about Dr. J and stuff like that, of course. But when you think about the modern generations, the only player that really is of any relevance in Philadelphia, besides a Dikembe Mutombo, is Allen Iverson.
Not even broke body Dikembe. Like,
No, no.
They'll probably give
If
Eric
you
Snow
don't
a
bring
better
the franchise championships, you should not be getting statues outside that franchise.
Should your number be retired?
No.
Interesting.
I think, okay, if you took your team to the NBA Finals, then yes. If you did not, then no.
So, okay, I have an
It is
interesting
nuts.
question for you, Tay. Do you agree with Major League Baseball having retired Roberto Clemente's number, even though he never brought a title to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Oh, well, he did. I'm sorry. He was a two-time World Series champion with the Pirates. I apologize.
Okay, so what's the interesting question then?
Yeah, no, that was I forgot that Clemente won 2 World Series.
Because I was about to hit you with that. Because I had to do a report on Roberto Clemente when I was in high school, and I knew about that. So
I forgot
was
about
to
the
hit you.
Pirates
I was about
team.
to hit you with the heat. You was about to get. Oh, you was about to get hit with the heat. Got him.
Got him with the ish. Oh man.
Completely forgot that he won those 60s titles.
It's Allen Iverson, fam. Like you can't do that to Allen Iverson. like Tay said, you might as well not give him anything at all.
No. Okay, Tay, did you agree with what Memphis did? Memphis retired Marc Gasol's number.
No, I do
not.
not.
Marc Gasol's number in the rafters.
No, I don't.
She keeping the same energy. She's not gonna agree with that.
No, I don't. Like Patrick Ewing, yes.
No.
Allen Iverson.
He won a title.
I said I just sat here and said,
if they go to the finals. If
go
they
to
take
the
them
finals.
to the finals.
Okay.
Did the Memphis Grizzlies go to the NBA Finals? I don't remember that series.
They went to the conference finals.
Yeah, no. No, you don't get a trophy to me.
Not to the conference finals.
Well, no. Marc Gasol did win an NBA championship, though.
With who?
The Raptors.
So the Raptors got retired. So the Raptors got retired his number then.
Yeah, I feel like you retired him right over there.
Yeah, you got retired.
You got retired 1 year.
Retire it. Retire.
I forgot he even played still.
He don't.
Yeah, no, Marc Gasol.
When did he retire?
Like 2 years ago.
He retired in 2020. No, he retired on January 31st of this year, but he was already playing in Spain. He played his last game in the NBA in 2021 because he was with the Grizzlies till 2019. Then they traded him to the Raptors in the 2019 season, played for the Raptors that 2019-2020 season, and won the title against the Warriors in the finals that year. Then he went to the Lakers for a season, and then the Lakers traded him back to the Grizzlies so that he could essentially retire NBA-wise with the Grizzlies, but then he went to go play in Spain for like the last 2 years of his career. He played for his own team, by the way. It was a team he founded in Spain.
I like that. Hands on. All right, put on tea time for me. I got something for y'all.
All right.
Even though it's supposed to be ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between, it is your girl, the queen.
Everything in between is crazy. What is wrong with y'all?
You gotta relax.
What do you mean everything in between? Not everybody identifies as a man or a woman. Some people choose to identify as a cat. Like, and I'm just respecting what people identify as.
It's crazy.
Or the otherwise gendered.
Yeah, however you want to identify is cool with me. Like,
can't even defend that.
As long as you're not a racist or a rapist, I'm cool. And that's racist against all races and kinds, Matt. All races and kinds, Pete.
What about Dre? You ain't even say nothing about Dre. So just
Dre be knowing better. Dre don't be doing that. Y'all be doing that, and Dre don't be doing that.
I'll be going crazy and then be trying to involve me. I'll be like, nah.
Exactly. Like, you're not going to be no accessory.
Wow. Talking about in between, but I got to relax.
So I've been doing a lot of reflecting over the past couple of months. I have not really been on the show that much. I've been going through my own thing, been crazy busy. And, my question I want to pose to the people is, when did you realize your mental health wasn't at its best, right? And how do you cope with those moments?
That's a very good question.
Because I don't know if Mercury is in Gatorade, retrograde, lemonade. I don't know what's going on, but life sometimes. And I feel like I've been hearing so many people go through such hard times right now. And I do want to hopefully open the door for people to feel comfortable about letting people know when they're not okay. I struggle with the superwoman, strong black woman syndrome. So, if I tell you I'm struggling, I am at the wit's end of my struggle. And I realize that us as a community, as people, we don't really acknowledge, besides like, oh, go to therapy. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's not easy. But us as a people, like even humans, we don't acknowledge when we are really struggling and those trigger points. And I feel like that's something that maybe if we brought to the table right now, maybe we could help somebody, because people are struggling out here. You get what I'm saying? My mental health has not been at its best. I've been going through things health-wise, career-wise. I've never worked as hard. And, right now I'm just in a space where I'm now, 40 years old, and I really want to improve who I am I think I'm an amazing person. I think I'm pretty, I'm smart, I'm all that stuff. But like, I want to know from you guys' point of view also, like, how do you feel you should be coping when your mental health ain't where it needs to be? I know for me, I just work out a lot. And I don't know if it's running away from my issues or whatever it is. I try to face things head on. And that almost took me out recently. Like, these guys, like, y'all know that, I was hurt. I suffered a really bad concussion not too long ago.
and it really knocked me on my ass. Not even gonna hold you. And besides, I want people to feel like it's okay to not be okay. You get what I'm saying? So I'll start with you, Pete. Like, hearing that you're going to group with your church it really inspired me to like be like, look, that could be a really good coping mechanism.
To answer your first question, I think for me, I realized that my mental health was really an issue during the pandemic. I moved out from my mom with my mom into my place in the midst of the pandemic. And I'm always a person, I've learned this in therapy. So I go to individual therapy. I do couples therapy with my fiance as well. Things like that. I started all that after my mother passed away. But I'm always a person that has strived for community. One of the things that I've learned about myself going through therapy is that I've always been that person, who has wanted that, who does better in community, does better in groups, does better with people around. And I always struggled growing up. I had pockets of friends, but I was always kind of like that person that felt like I was on the outside of every friend circle I was in. I was never really in the circle. I was always one of those people that orbited the circle. Um, the way that I always used to say it was like I was the person that you didn't make an invitation to your party for, but like if I found out about the party and I was like, oh, I heard about your party, like, oh my God, I completely forgot to get you one. Yeah, definitely come on. You're invited. But it's like, yeah, but you didn't make the time to actually think about inviting me. But you're like, oh, you're invited. So that's how I kind of felt for most of my life. And I was always searching for community. My family was always very fractured. My mother's side of the family, super fractured. My dad's side of the family, as I got older, started to fracture a lot more, especially after my grandmother passed away. So during the pandemic, my mental health really took a hit because I was single at the time. I was now living on my own. So it's just me and my dog. I'm working from home. So I don't even get escape opportunities to go to work to interact with people. Like I'm stuck at home. I'm not doing anything. And it was really bad. Like my depression came back full force. It was really bad. There were days where it got really, really bad where like I would have days of, moments of suicidal ideations and stuff like that. Like just didn't want to really deal with it anymore. And really it was my dog. My dog kept me going. I wanted to be there for my puppy and my dog. And, I had that routine of having to go to work every day. So that first summer, I think the summer of 2021 was really kind of, the summer of 2020, I should say, was really bad for me. And then luckily in 2021, I was able to meet my fiance, my girlfriend at the time. But she could even tell you in that very beginning, I was not in the best place. I was not in the best state of mind. I was not the best person. And then obviously, as y'all know, 6 months after that, my mother passes away. So a lot of that compounded. And I grew up in a Puerto Rican hood household where it was, you don't let them ever see you cry. You don't ever let them see you be weak. Emotion is weakness. Crying is weakness. If they know that it affects you, they know how to affect you, right? So you never let them know that things bother you because you never want to show that weakness. And over the course of my relationship, like those are the things that I've had to go through in couples therapy and like singles therapy, where it's just like talking about those things, where it's like the okay to be vulnerable, the okay to have conversations, feeling like that what you say is validated. Right. One of the things that has struggled in my relationship that I've been growing with every single day is the idea of, not having to feel like I have to win every conversation. Right. Because I grew up in a household where, God rest her soul, even if I had a different opinion than my mother, I had to fight, not just to be heard, but for my opinion to be accepted, for it to be validated. I had to give like an entire business presentation, just to validate the fact that I had an opinion or a way of wanting to do something, and then hoping that it wasn't ridiculed or whatever afterwards. And so that transferred over even into my relationship, having to fight about everything, having to always feel like I had to win the fight. Instead of just understanding like we could have two different sets of opinions and it's okay. And she still validated me even though it was different. So for me, best ways to cope. I mean, listen, I haven't done it in a while, but writing was always a big thing for me. Just writing down how I feel, because if it's stuck in here, it starts to get really perverted. You start to let emotion get a handle of it. You know, putting it down on paper and being able to go back to it and look to it when you come to a clearer mind, especially when I'm upset about things. You know, writing it down and then being able to come back to it when I'm of much clearer mind and heart, and being able to do that. You know, I've obviously gotten back into, you know, church and things like that. So those are really my big things, is, you know, trying to get right with God, and, you know, I think the biggest thing for me has been letting things that trying to control too many things. And that has been a really big thing. I think for me, it's just really understanding that letting go of control, as scary as it is very necessary sometimes.
Marco?
I guess you're next, man.
No, I think that was really valid. I wanted to give you the space to say those things without saying an opinion in between. And, you know, meeting you during that time, that summer of 2020, I feel like I was quick to embrace you because I intuitively knew that you were in a dark place. I don't know what it was, but it was like, you could ask the boys, like, from when you first joined the show, I didn't know you from Adam. And I was like, look, we got to get him into our community. That's just who I am as a person. Right. Because like, I feel like with my intuition, I can see how other people are hurting, but I neglect when I'm feeling that in kind.
Mm-hmm.
And we focus a lot on, you know, especially like when you're parents or you're taking care of a parent or you're taking care of a family, you tend to push your feelings away. And unfortunately, it always comes to a head. And sometimes it comes to a head in very ugly ways.
You're very right. You know, and we're told, like, don't worry about yourself. Like, you worry about. I'm the same way. Like, I will constantly bend over backwards to make sure that, you know, my fiance is happy. Like, what do you want? Like, we even get into like little fun, petty little fights about like going out to dinner. And she's like, where do you, like, my birthday? She took me out. Her mother took me out for my birthday to a restaurant. And they were like, well, where would you like to go eat? And even when I came home, I was like, okay, so I have like 4 or 5 different options. Like, what do you think will work better for your mom? Because her mom has certain dietary restrictions. And her mom had to like yell at me, like, no, you pick where you want to go. This is your birthday. Like, this is about you today. And I'm like, but no, I want to be respectful of what you need and what you want. And that was the way I was raised. It was always just like, it's never about you.
Yeah.
You're the last one to be dealt with. You're the last one to be taken care of. And essentially growing up as a man as well, being raised by my mom, it's another thing. My mother was the same way, where she told me, she's like, you take care of everybody first. And my mom always embodied that as well, being a single woman for a lot of her life. Like, she took care of herself last. And when I got older, I took it upon myself to make sure, like, no, Ma, I want you to take care of yourself now. Like, I don't need you to worry about me. And that was one of the big things where, like, me and my mom used to always clash, because when I got older, and for me, I was always like, all right, now it's my turn to push you to your best self. You've spent 20-something years pushing me to my best self. Now I'm going to push you to your best self. But my mom was still very much in that mindset of like, I'll get there when I get there. You're still my son. I'm still going to worry about you. And it was more like, I need you to worry about you. And we used to fight on that, because for me, it was like not understanding that my mother wasn't ready to move out of that space yet. You know, I actually had that revelation in a conversation literally about a week ago, where I was just like, My mother had me when she was 19 going on 20 years old. My mother had me, I was born in April. My mother's birthday is the end of May. So when my mother had me, she was 19. A month and a half later, she turned 20 years old. My mother was married to my father. My mother was in no space to be a mother and a wife at 20 years old. And so that's what led to my mother and my father splitting apart, because my mother still wanted to go and be a 20-year-old.
Right.
And my dad, being 29, almost 30 at the time, was like, I need a wife at home. And my mother wasn't ready for that. And so my mother rebelled against that. And then they separated. And my mother raised me on her own. And my mother worked 3-4 jobs, made sure she was always there to make me breakfast, take me to school, tuck me in at night and make sure that I fell asleep before she went to her overnight job, check my homework every day, make sure my bag was packed, respond to anything that happened at school, for 20 years. And then when I got old enough to handle myself, my mother kind of went to that space of like, okay, now I get to live my life. But her life was still being a 20-year-old. And so my mom was in her 40s trying to be a 20-year-old, and I was only seeing my mother as a 40-year-old at the time and saying, no, Mom.
Be a 20-year-old.
Right. It's like, I need you to start making the moves that you need to make. Like, let's get you out the hood. Let's get you here. Let's get you a better job. Let's get you this. Let's get you that. I'm thinking about pushing my mother forward, not realizing that she needs that space to kind of just be herself.
That's important.
That's we should talk about a lot of these young parents. Like, a lot of them, it's not them not rebelling, but it's like, they never got a chance to be this, and now are they willing to sacrifice that? Like, I have that in my relationship. I wasn't some dating Don Juan when I was growing up. I didn't have girls on call and the hoes on deck and this and this, right? So when, I was always in relationships, and even though they were short or whatever, I was always in relationships. I never really had my whole phase, right? So now here I am in a whole relationship where I'm engaged, about to get married. And even when we were before that, my fiance would tell me, like, are you sure there are not things you need to do in life? Because once we get past this point, like, you got to be willing to leave that behind. And I think that's a big thing of understanding with people. Like, are they willing to leave certain things behind and walk past them? Or do they need to live in that moment first and then get past it?
Huge. Matt?
How did I know? I kind of knew early on. Like, I knew probably like when I was like 22. And that ultimately why I moved to Philly. There was a lot of stuff going on in Brooklyn at that time. Me and my mom clashing. Me and my mom's boyfriend had an incident. I was doing a lot of shit that I'm not proud of. But how I would cope with a lot of things was my music, me writing, me producing, and the best way to do that and keep my foot going forward was me moving to Philly. Because ultimately I was by the studio, so I would produce and create. But that was just like, I've come to realize now, with everything that has happened and has transpired, that music was just a Band-Aid. It wasn't something that it wasn't the fix. It was just temporary. So ultimately,
was a Band-Aid though, because it could just be your outlet for survival.
No, I mean, because though it made me feel better, I didn't conquer what the real problem was, and the real problem was I never felt accepted from anybody. I looked for approval, right? So I looked for approval from my parents. I looked for approval from like friends. Not necessarily women that I dated early on. I didn't look for that approval for the women that I dated until I got married. Never got that approval. Even the recent situation, like, yeah, she gave me affirmation sometimes, but ultimately I still was kind of searching for that approval. And honestly, just the depression leads for me more or less to me not liking myself or who I become in certain aspects of my life, right? The anxiety is looking for that acceptance or that approval, like I'm doing right. Because for a long period of time, I was doing a lot of wrong shit, but I was doing wrong shit for survival. But music kind of got replaced for my kids. Like I found myself living for my kids because, like Pete, I did have the suicidal thoughts. I want to say that more or less came about like from 2020 during the pandemic, right after my mom passed. The guiltiness of the whole thing with me and my mom. The guiltiness of my group with my brothers not working out because in my mind, I did something selfish. I chose me and I moved to Philly, not realizing that I was the orbit for a lot of my friends and a lot of my family members, and like I was the center of all of it. So it was like everybody, we all connected at that house in Canarsie. So it was like when I left, that
You were nucleus.
that safe space was gone. So everybody eventually had to do their own thing and was, figuring out their own shit. And when I got married, I really got so far away from everybody and everything. So it's like reconnecting now with everybody, like it's soothing because again, I felt like these are the people that knew me the best and I was the most comfortable and like no judgment free because we was just all present and just enjoying each other's time and space, and we were to rock for each other because we all knew what the other was going through. And it's like right now they're all trying to do that for me now, which is crazy. But all in all, I realized like I just gotta fight the shit head on, and I gotta find out why I don't like myself or why I might be uncomfortable with being alone. There's that too. And why do I take blame for shit that I shouldn't take blame for?
Agreed.
So I mean that there's therapy, but I gotta face that fear of being alone. And then I gotta face that fear of really having that conversation within myself on why do I do some of the things that I do to myself? Why do I take blame for my mom passing away? Because I felt like I broke her heart. There's that. Um, how to be present for my dad who's still here. Even though we've had a rocky relationship, like we have the second chance in a sense because I'm here with him. And he's been present, more present than he's been like me growing up, but he's present now through the hardest times with the divorce and me being a single dad of two little girls and you know the recent shit. Like it's just like I said, I just gotta face a lot of shit head on, and I gotta find peace within myself.
Right? You're right. And you would think that, like, listening to your story, listening to Pete's story, and you know, I'm always like a girl's girl, always. But when I hear what you guys say about validation, about, you know, suicidal ideation and stuff, and I realize over time, and I've always realized that men are not raised to feel. And they're not raised to feel and be validated when they do feel. When a man shows his feelings to someone, sometimes a woman, they look at them as less than because they want them to be strong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I've always been the opposite, maybe because I've always been kind of secure within myself. That if my partner showed that vulnerability, that is a layer of trust that I was able to unlock in that situation, and it should not be weaponized. And like I said, I'm not an apologist for bad behavior. I've never been, as you know me. But there's something to be said about the validation that young men feel in the household while they're raised. If they're raised by a single mom, if they're raised by a single parent, you know, some of us were raised on love, some of us were raised on survival.
Yeah.
And a mix of both, because for the most part, most people I know can't say that their parents didn't love them. I can say that your parents can only love you as much as they love themselves.
Yeah. For the most part, I felt like my parents just had this
Ideology, yeah.
They had
Yeah.
this figure of like, he's book smart, he's street smart, he knows how to handle himself. So
Yeah.
we don't have to pay too much attention to him because
He can take care of himself, same.
my youngest needs all the attention, and we got to make sure that he's right. So in their mind, they thought that they were putting more respect and more confidence in me versus not realizing that I felt neglected, or I felt like I wasn't worthy of attention or worthy of that, that affirmation or that love. Because I didn't hear my dad tell me that he was proud of me until he realized I was working 2 jobs and I was maintaining a household with a wife and kids. That was the first
You
time
did that.
Yeah, that
But
was the
you
first
did
time
that.
I heard he was proud of me.
You did that. And, everybody would think that when I was facing cancer, a work transition, a breakup, and the death of my aunt all at the same time, that would be my breaking point. My breaking point came when everything was at the up and up.
Shit, that was the opposite. My breaking point came when I didn't have my kids for 3 months. That was my breaking point.
I know. My breaking point came. I didn't even realize that I was at my breaking point until I was laying down and did not have the strength to get out of bed. And it took my mom to kind of like speak that life back into me. You would think from the outside looking in, like, she has a beautiful daughter who's doing amazing in school. She has a wonderful career that she's doing really well in. You know, she earns what she has. She travels the world. She does this. She does that. But
It's pressure.
we sometimes crumble off the pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself, as you know. You know me
Same.
for a very long time.
Same.
And I feel like it was in that moment of, I've done all this. What's next?
Because then you feel like it's not enough.
Then you feel like it's not enough.
Mm.
And you start to question your fortitude. And it's the smallest thing that makes that, for me, it was my concussion. When I could not remember 2 whole days of my life, that put me in a dark space.
Yeah.
But it's really important to acknowledge. I feel like if anybody takes anything from this, I know it has nothing to do with sports or whatever, but I've been talking to a lot of people recently, and almost everyone I know is having a hard time
Yeah.
with something. And I'd be remiss to not, tell you that I empathize. Not only I'm not empathizing from an ivory tower. I'm empathizing because as good as things could be going, if your mental health ain't right, it means nothing.
It's a fact.
It means nothing. I'm feeling a lot better now. I tell you, like I'm getting back to me and whatever the hell that even means. You
I'm
know,
working on it.
whatever it is, like always, I can, because Dre has not been on the line for like 15 minutes.
I've been here listening the whole time.
I know when he's there. I can see.
No, I'm here. I've been listening the whole time.
Dre,
I've just been moving back and forth. Yeah, you didn't ask me.
That means answer the question, bro.
I'm messing with Tay. I'm messing with him.
No,
But in terms of what you guys are saying, when I felt like something was wrong, when something was wrong, a lot you guys been through it with me when I went through my breakup, and you guys clearly saw it on my face, and I was wearing it on my face and not knowing it myself that I was wearing it on my face, and walking around as if everything was cool, and it wasn't, and it's written all over me to the point where there were things that I'd love to do. I like just normal stuff for me, getting up, wanting to play my video games, wanting to go outside, wanting to go play basketball. I didn't want to do nothing. I didn't want to do nothing. Everything was more just like I was on autopilot. I was just walking. I'm just like, all right, this is how it's gonna be, and I'm just have to figure out my way through it. And I think one of my biggest issues is trying to fix problems that I have no reason trying to fix, and just letting stuff die where it's supposed to die at. Like just let those bridges burn. Let them do whatever they're supposed to do. Trying to fix things and trying to make people happy when in the space where these people are not giving me that same grace, giving me that same energy. It is has been one of my biggest downfalls, or one of my biggest issues in my life, just in general, because I used to tie my happiness to other people being happy. I no longer do that, because if people decide that I'm not responsible for people's happiness. Will Smith going through whatever he's going through, but he said this one thing. He said this one time on Red Table Talk, and I agree with it. I'm not responsible for anybody's happiness but my own. I'm not responsible for anybody else's happiness but my own. And if you come into my life, come happy, because it's not my job to make you happy. And one of my other biggest issues is that I'm my own worst critic. I'm my own worst critic. I'm my biggest worst critic, and I don't celebrate my successes enough. I don't celebrate my successes enough. My problem is I'm always looking forward. I'm always looking for what's next. What else is there to do? I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied. Just sitting, waiting idly for the next thing to happen. And I don't celebrate my accomplishments enough. And after having the surgery, understanding like, yo, you got a second chance at life. And some people may think I'm overreacting, but I'm not. I lost 90 pounds. I don't know where my body was at or how close to it could have been to something happening, but feeling like I have a second chance at life, a second go round. I've been learning a lot more to appreciate more of myself and the people more around me, and because like even sometimes now there's I look inside the mirror, I'm like, yo, I'm a totally complete different person physically. Sometimes that messes with me mentally. I'm like, yo, not in the way of like, oh, where am I going, like that, but like I look at myself like, yo, what's going on? And I forget, like, oh shoot, I just had a life-altering surgery, and things are rapidly changing. I can even feel it in my mood sometimes that like I sometimes get bothered for no reason about stuff, and I don't I don't show it to y'all because it's not anything that y'all are doing. It's just a lot of it is stuff that's going on my end, to where it's like why is this going on, or why am I not where I need to be at? And it's hard, but I'm working day by day to not put all that pressure on myself to be where I need to be at, like right now. So
I feel like that's one thing we really all have in common, is the fact that we're the hard. Yeah, we critical to each other, but we're more critical to our own individual selves. And I'm mad Pete left before I can apologize to him because we are kind of both going through a rough time at the same time.
Yep.
And I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, y'all definitely was.
Y'all were.
I didn't realize how I was coming off. And like I said, depression is crazy. When you're going through depression and anxiety and grief all at the same time,
It's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. And Dre knows because there's been a couple times he had to talk me off the ledge of trying to like finish everything, you know? And it one thing I'll say that I have to really work on is like I pretty much told you guys, like that acceptance and not feeling that love from even when I was a kid. I felt alone for a long time. So I can be with people that I know genuinely love me. Like genuinely love me. It's overwhelming sometimes how much love I get. And it shocks me sometimes. Like I'll never forget when everybody found out that, you know, the marriage was over and the amount of people that reached out to me ready to come out here to go come after her, whatever the case may be. Or just like, yo, you don't deserve that, you deserve better. Like I need everybody to understand because I know they all watch the show, they all listen to what we're doing. I appreciate every last one of y'all. I love every last one of y'all. Like it's not taken for granted. It's not that I don't see it. It's just again, sometimes my mind is in 5 different avenues at the same time. It is literally Queens in my head sometimes. It's a boulevard, an avenue, a street, and a palace and a terrace.
All in the same block.
All on the same block. That's how it is. And the only current and present is if we're doing the show or if I'm doing music. That's why I said maybe I need to go back to Philly, right? Because then I'm back to my music. I'm in the studio every
I've been telling you need to go back to Philly. I said you need to go back.
Did you go to Philly this past week?
Yeah. I was in the studio. Night 1, I was in the studio.
Oh, it would have been nice to have heard from you.
I hit you up. You didn't answer the phone.
When?
Yes, I hit you up night 1. I got out there early that morning. I wanted to try.
We text you on Saturday.
We both text you.
Yeah, texting me and telling me that you were in my city. Well, I would never claim that, but like
I told you weeks before I'm gonna be in Philly that weekend. I said I'm going. I was trying to go to Wale Mania, and then I was like, yo, I'm gonna go. I got a studio session that weekend. I was supposed to be in studio the whole weekend.
No, but I do want to say shout outs to Wilkins though, because he founded his business. Because I think it was one day we were texting, and I'm like, yo, you didn't even ask me if I was okay, bro. And I lost my mind. And during the week in Philly, he found a way. I was so busy. He caught me at the gym. And when I finally like unloaded how I was feeling and how I've been feeling those past couple of months, it was the first time I had ever fully vocalized the extent of it all. And I was like, whoa.
Wait, like everything?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Everything. And I finally was just like, I am going through a lot at the same time. And when the pressure's on to perform as best as you could. So I could have either went 2 ways. And I would say I have to celebrate the win because I could have been a punk bitch and stayed in bed.
Want to hear something crazy though? The irony about what you said about Wilkins and Janelle both, they know you're the closest to me and Dre. So though they won't hit you up because they know where you're at in life and they know how busy you are, they know with me and Dre are constant, right? So they'll hit us up and they'll ask us like, yo, is she okay? Everything good? Like, I know it's a lot. I know it's crazy. I'm like, she all right. She like, there's a lot, but Tay's strong, and when she's ready to talk about it, she'll talk about it. But Wilkins has asked about you, and Janelle has asked about you.
Nah, he came to see me at the hotel at the gym, right? And I was working out, talking to him the whole time. And I'm like, it felt good to get it all off my chest because I was sitting with how I was feeling for a few months. And it, like I said, it was exacerbated by a concussion.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And that's when I'm like, am I having a concussion or am I having a fucking nervous breakdown?
So the
Like,
crazy thing is, you had the concussion. Remember my appendix burst and I almost died? Remember that? That was
Yeah.
my sit down and figure the fuck out something's going on.
yeah.
So yeah, I know.
You know, but I just wanted to like open up this platform because I'm usually not the most vulnerable, warm and fuzzy person there is. You get what I'm saying? But I do think something needs to be said that you know our sports thoughts, you know how we talk about each other and to each other and stuff like that. But it's very important to know that you never know who's going through it.
Amen.
I'm
You
still
never
going
know.
through it. I go through it daily. I got to take it a day at a time though.
One day at a time. That's what we have.
I'll tell you one thing though. After the last situation, I just know that you got to look in the mirror and go like, motherfucker, you got to put yourself first.
Yes, and you know that's another thing that I wanted to say too. If you don't learn the lesson that's being presented to you in some situations, you are going to continue to go through them until you are forced to prioritize and learn and ingest what you are supposed to learn from this.
Yeah.
I was realizing I was following the same destructive because I'm chaotic by nature. Like people be like, oh, they want approval, oh, they want this. My biggest issue is that I don't give a fuck about anybody's approval.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, but that's an issue in itself because it can cause you to be disassociated, unpersonal, dispersonal, distant. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm at an arm's length. Like, most people could say that they know me, but do you really? I'm very complicated. You get what I'm saying? And very complicated. Very complicated.
Chinese arithmetic. I got to get a calculator and a translator.
Yeah, I'm very so where where people feel validation is so important and fitting in and not feeling alone. I thrive in my solitude. So I find it hard to and I didn't grow up feeling that way. I had a big family, I had cousins, my parents did the best that they could. But it's just me. I don't know if it's like this anarchist like mentality that I have, but I don't seek approval from anybody. But then that also can cause you to not be self-aware. You get what I'm saying? So, but I thought it was just really important to have this conversation at this point because we have people in our orbit, in our lives, in our circle, who watch the show who could be struggling right now.
And we would never know.
And we would never know. So just know, like, I hear you, I feel you, I see you, and I'm here for you. That's it. And that is Tavia's tea time, bitches.
I'm sorry. Yo, learning
I have like voodoo lighting in my room, but go ahead.
Learning Tavia with like, I feel like I know how to read hieroglyphics now. Like, 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 because like at the beginning, I knew Tavia just based off the chat, the chat that we all had. I knew more of her from the chat and her takes on stuff, and that and just based off that, I was like, yeah, she would be a good fit. And then learning who you are, some of the things that tick you, some of the things that make you happy. Same thing with you, Matt. Learning who you guys are has been definitely a dope experience for me. because like I said, gaining more, and Peter as well, gaining 3 more family members to my family is amazing. And I don't take that for granted. We may disagree about stuff. We may go back and forth, but at the end of the day, that's what family does. That's what we do. That's what we do. So, I love the process of learning who you guys are and you guys learning who I am. And yeah, that's really what I want to say.
All right, y'all. Let's keep rocking out with the cock out.
Gotta relax.
All right. For the Women's Generation, P. Rosado. For BK Matt.
I gotta relax.
For the Queen.
I just said rock out. That's a saying.
Oh, we just had a whole instant like the
baby.
It's usually you.
Why would you mention dicks? Like, can we not have it? Like, can we have an episode
rock
without
out with your cock out, ladies and gentlemen? It's Saturday.
You gotta relax.
All right. Uno.